my friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tiffany, and in today's video we are going to be preparing for my first annual cookie swap. Now if you've never been to a cookie swap before, these are super fun. I have been to a ton of them but never hosted my own. Basically a cookie swap is where you come to a party, you bring 2 to 3 to 4 dozen of your favorite cookies or just a fun cookie recipe, and you share them with everybody. So we lay them out on, the table. Here we're gonna do it on the island, and then everybody gets to take a little bit of each of the cookies. So when you leave with the same amount of cookies that you came with. It's just that you get to leave with a whole bunch of different kinds. You also get to vote for your favorite cookie, the one you think tastes the best, the one you think looks the best, the most fun or festive. The voting part is completely optional. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. We're gonna do it. I've actually purchased a gift already for the winner of like the best overall cookie. I'm gonna show you the printables that I've purchased, both the invitation as well as some other fun printables for the party, like some little note cards to show like what kind of cookie they are, as well as some other fun printables. We're also going to decorate. You know I have to decorate for this, so I've got some really cute decor pieces that we're gonna use. I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna use for like my cookie setup, and then of course we're gonna share, some cookie recipes. I'm gonna share with you my absolute favorites, some that I have just made over the years and some that I actually learned from other cookie swaps. So we've got a lot to do today. It is going to start snowing at any second. It is 25 degrees outside and we are predicted to get about 1 to 3 inches of snow. So that's on its way. So we're gonna try to make the most of this cool day. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so when you are planning for a cookie swap, a couple of things to keep in mind and what I ran into this year, so I'm gonna share this with you so that you will know this for when you ever host one. And that's be careful with the weekends. Weekends are very busy in December. People are, going to Christmas parties and trying to spread out the holiday across the weekends with different parts of their families. So the weekends are really, really hard. Originally, I'd planned to have it on a Saturday, but it seemed like more than half of the people couldn't come. So we are doing our party on a Thursday night. So that way it's towards the end of the week. It's not quite Friday. So, if people have plans on a Friday, or if you're like me and you're in your pajamas by 7 p.m. on Friday, Thursday just seemed like a good night. We are gonna do some appetizers as well. We are doing that potluck style, so everybody's gonna bring a little appetizer to share. So we'll be noshin' for dinner, and then we're gonna have all of our cookies to enjoy. So you wanna make sure that you give your guests something to eat other than just sweet cookies. So have some kind of, appetizer available, even if it's just, a veggie tray, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be this gloriously beautiful charcuterie board, although it could. It doesn't have to be that fancy. You can just do something as simple as cheese, crackers, and a veggie tray. Like I said, we're doing ours potluck style, and I'm excited to see what other people are bringing. The other thing that you wanna keep in mind too is that you provide some kind of beverage. So, regular drinks, water, soda, those types of things, but you can also provide a cocktail. I'm going to be providing a signature cocktail that is the mistletoe margarita. I shared that in my very first Cook With Me video. It's a cranberry pomegranate margarita. It's not my recipe, although I use it all of the time. This is my go-to margarita. It's my absolute favorite. I love pomegranate. My mouth is watering talking about it. So I'll have that linked for you down below in the description box as well. So if you're looking for a signature cocktail, that is definitely a good go-to. So let's talk about the invitation. So there's lots of different ways that you can invite people to a function at your house. One is using an Evite. That is just an electronic invitation that you do through the Evite website or through other invitation websites, and it goes directly to people's emails. And that is an easy way. It will keep track of your guest list, so kind of helps to keep things, streamlined, if you will. Another way to invite people is to do it through like one of those sign up websites like a sign up genius. And you could do that if you wanted people to tell you ahead of time what kind of cookie they were bringing so that you didn't have duplicates. I don't mind having duplicates because everybody makes things a little bit different. So I like having duplicates of things, so I don't worry about that. And then of course you can do the good old fashioned invitation, which is what I did. I'm gonna show you the invitation that I chose right here. I did get this on Etsy, and I was able to both print it and give it to the people that I see regularly, like my coworkers and my neighbors. But I was also able to save it to my phone and text it to friends and family that I don't see on the regular basis. So that was a super easy way to invite others, and I'm super excited about it. There's also like Facebook that you could put an event together and invite people that way. So there's lots of different ways that you can invite people. Let's talk a little bit now about the printables. So I was able to purchase several different printables from the same shop. It's not the same shop that I used for the invitation, but these were just so dang cute. I couldn't pass them up. I'll have them all linked for you down in the description box. But I purchased the Cookie Exchange voting ballot. So we'll vote on best tasting, most festive, most creative, most pretty, and best overall. And the best overall will get the prize, which I'll share with you here in just a minute. I also purchased these adorable little tags. These are for any kind of baked good. So I know that like my daughter wants to give cookies to her bus driver and things like that. I want to put some in the mailbox for our mail lady. So those tags will be what I use. And then I also purchased the little signs for like the little award for whoever wins each one of these. So they'll get a copy of these. There's one for each category. So those are perfect for that. And then I did also purchase the little food labels. They're still printing, but once they do, I'll show you. But they're just little foldable labels that you can write on what kind of cookie they are. Now let's talk about the cookies that I'm gonna be making. So I am gonna be making a few of my absolute favorite and a few of my family's favorites. So for sure, I'm gonna start off by making my chocolate chip cookie. Now, it's a very simple recipe, a recipe, in fact, that is not mine, that is easily available to everyone. I'm just gonna tell you a little bit of how I doctor it up and why people think mine tastes so much different. I'm also going to be making a peanut butter cookie with a peanut butter cup inside. I'm also going to be making a Christmas shortbread cookie. I love shortbread cookies. They are my absolute favorite, as well as a delicious traditional snickerdoodle cookie. I love a snickerdoodle cookie. They are chewy and sweet, but not overly sweet, and they're super easy. So we're gonna be doing a little bit of drop cookies, as well as some that we have to form, but we are not going crazy today. We are not doing any cookie cutters or royal icing or any of those things. Finally, we are going to make a non-cookie treat, and we are going to be making some Rice Krispie treat. They're not Rice Krispie treat, but they are marshmallow crispy treat wreaths. So this will be the first year I'm making these. I have wanted to do these for a while. I think they're both adorable, and I think they'll look really pretty like on the spread, the cookie spread. So I wanna make them for color, and I just think that they'll be a nice treat that isn't a cookie, since we're all probably going to be bringing them. Now, if you are not a baker and that's not something that you're really into, but you get invited to a cookie swap, just know that it's more than appropriate to bring other things. You can bring fudge. There's lots of treats out there that don't involve any kind of baking, things like chocolate covered pretzels. They have those cute little Ritz cookies or treat that you dip in chocolate. Like, there's all kinds of treats out there that are not a cookie that you could make. You could also bring a store-bought cookie if you wanted to. However, the rules typically are you want to make something. So if you don't want to make a cookie, you could definitely find some other kind of treat recipe. As for decoration, I purchased from Michael's these adorable little gingerbread houses. And I think that they're technically for like your Christmas tree. They're a paper ornament. However, my plan is to hang these from the ceiling here along my island. I just like to have something hanging. I think it makes like your tablescape feel a little extra special. So we're gonna have that. I'm also gonna use the same butcher paper across my island and on my countertops that I did for Thanksgiving. So that was just a roll of like butcher paper, wrapping paper. I got it at Hobby Lobby and I just think it looks really nice. So we're gonna be using that. As for cookies, for taking them home, I did purchase foldable little treat boxes on Amazon. They have not come yet. They're supposed to be here Wednesday, which is really cutting it short, but you know, that's just how it goes. But I'll put a picture of it here and I'll link it for you down below. I love this style treat box because I just think they look really pretty. And I did pick up some ribbon to decorate those boxes with. I'm just gonna cut them and just tie them on. So right now, ribbon at all of your craft stores is going to be on sale. So I was down at Michael's. Ours was buy one, get 3 free. So I picked up this adorable Santa ribbon. I thought this was so cute. I have such a thing for Santas. I think they're so sweet. I also picked up just this plain burlap. I also picked up this red pom-pom. This is going to be super cute. Just red pom-poms, so very cute. And then I also got this burlap one that has some green and red stitching. So my plan is just to cut those and tie those on to those little gift boxes, just to give them a little something to look at. And then I think I have some Christmas stickers somewhere around here that I might put on the box as well, just like maybe down on the corner. We'll see. I'll post a picture on Instagram how they end up looking. So make sure you're following me at Charlotte Grove Farmhouse to see what those final boxes look like. Okay, my friends, I think that's all for the party planning. I think it's just time now to get into making our cookies. The last little bit of advice I want to give you is to read through recipes before you get started. Some of your cookies might need to chill. So for example, if you use the Snickerdoodle or the shortbread cookie recipe, you're going to need to chill it before you bake it. And that is because they are full of butter, which is why they're so delicious, but also why they will become really flat. If you bake them when they're just room temperature. After they've been manipulated a lot, the butter will melt very quickly and it will change the shape and consistency of your cookie. So make sure that you read through your recipes and check to see if they need to be chilled at all. We're gonna get started today by making our Snickerdoodle batter. We need to let this sit in the refrigerator for a little while, so we want to get this started. We're getting started with half a cup of unsalted butter. However, I am tripling this recipe, so that's why I have 3 sticks of butter in there. The other thing I want to mention is that I couldn't find my paddle attachment for my stand mixer, but I did eventually find it. So this one that I'm using is actually the pasta one, or it's for like kneading dough. But it's the only one I could find. I had Danny searching for the other one for me. We did end up finding it, so it does end up changing. While that's creaming, I'm also adding in half a cup of granulated sugar. So again, I'm tripling this recipe, so I put in 3. Remember when you're using a mixer to scrape the sides regularly. I'm also adding in a large egg, and we're getting that mixed in. And while I'm editing this, I'm wondering if I ever put in the brown sugar. I don't think that I did. And the recipe does call for half a cup of brown sugar, which I don't think I put in, you guys. I think I forgot. I think it only has the regular granulated sugar, but I have to tell you, I've had so many of these cookies and they're so good. And I think I forgot to put in that brown sugar, but just goes to show if you make a mistake, they can still turn out perfectly fine. I just added in the vanilla. If you can, oh, and there I found my paddle, my paddle attachment. If you can invest in some good vanilla for your baking, I would highly recommend it. It's one of those ingredients that really does make a difference if you use a good one. So if you can afford to spring for a good quality vanilla, I would highly recommend it. Again, it just does make a big difference. I'm now adding in the baking soda as well as the cream of tartar, and here in just a minute we're also going to be adding in our brown sugar, but I'm just really beside myself with the fact that I forgot to put in the brown sugar. I cannot even believe it. It happens. One thing too to remember about your flour is to spoon it into the measuring cup and then put it into your bowl. Don't scoop the flour out of anything because that will just pack the flour too much in your measuring cup, and that will give too much flour into whatever it is that you're baking. Also, once you add in the flour, don't over mix your batter. It will make it just way too chewy and tough. So you want to make sure you keep it nice and light. Only stir it as much as you have to get all of your ingredients incorporated. As you can see there, I'm still having to scrape down the sides with my rubber spatula. That's just making sure that all of the ingredients are getting incorporated appropriately. And then we're going to take the paddle off. We're going to again scrape it all down so that it's, all incorporated into the bowl. And then we're going to get ready to scoop this onto a tray. Now, as I mentioned, this recipe does have to chill before you bake it. It does have a good amount of butter in it, so if you don't chill it, it is going to flatten. So what we're going to do is we are going to scoop all of our cookies out onto a cookie pan using a cookie scoop. It's kind of like an ice cream scoop. You can find these at Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Amazon. I got mine at Hobby Lobby. And this is going to keep all of your cookies the same size, roughly. So I'm just going to scoop all of the batter onto this cookie sheet. I am not worried about forming them right now, other than getting them onto the tray. And then we're going to put this into the fridge for a couple of hours before baking it, at least a half an hour. You want it to chill for at least a half an hour. The recipe says at least an hour. I let mine chill overnight and baked them the next day, but that was mostly because of time. But do not skip the step of chilling them. Once you have them all scooped out onto your cookie sheet, you're going to cover them nice and tightly with some plastic wrap and then put them in your refrigerator. And like I said, chill them for about a half an hour to an hour up to overnight. The next cookie we're going to work on is our Christmas shortbread cookies. Now these I have never made, and to be 100% honest with you, I'm not super thrilled with how they turned out. I think I'll need to change things up next time I do this, but they are still pretty tasty. The recipe calls for using a food processor. However, I don't currently have one. Mine broke in Las Vegas and I did not bring it with me. So I'm using my stand mixer, and I think that was part of the problem. I think it just did not come out the way it was supposed to. But I'm just following the recipe. Calls for a cup of unsalted butter. So that's 2 sticks. You add in 3/4 a cup of powdered sugar and a little bit of salt, 1/4 of a teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1/4 of a teaspoon of almond extract, and then just 2 1/3 cups of all-purpose flour. And then you also mix in some red and green sprinkles to give your cookie the color. So that's what we're doing here. We're just going to mix all of our ingredients, again making sure to scrape down the sides, making sure that all of our ingredients come together. This recipe does give you some crumbly dough, so just keep an eye on that. It's not going to come together nice and smooth like a regular drop cookie. It's going to be kind of like dough balls, and you're going to mix them together just like you would if you were eating or making sugar cookies. So I'm using red and green and white sprinkles that I purchased at Walmart, and I'm just mixing those in, making sure to scrape the bottom of my bowl so that everything gets incorporated. And then you're going to take it out of the bowl and you're going to roll it into, or form it into, one ball. So I'm doing this on my wooden cutting board with a little bit of plastic. You can do this directly on your countertop if you would like. That's probably what I should have done. This is just how I did it, but I'm just gonna form this into a ball using the warmth of my hand to help melt the butter a little bit and help all the ingredients come together. Once it's into a ball, you're gonna cut it in half and you're going to roll it out into 2 logs. Put them into the refrigerator to chill before slicing them and baking them. Okay, so it is much later in the day. Well, it's not really that much later. It's just that it's really snowing and it's getting dark outside. Yeah. So I have a little helper with me who asked if he could help out. This is, who are you?
Griffin.
Well, I know who you are.
Griffin.
This is my second to last son. He is
8.
He thinks I don't know because I'm asking him to tell you. But he is 8 years old. So right now we're going to make my infamous chocolate chip cookies.
Yes.
These are some of Griffin's favorite, and they're very, very easy. And in fact, I'm just gonna give it to you 100%. They are the Toll House cookie recipe. And the difference and how to make these taste extra, extra good is to use salted butter. That is super important, salted butter. And to cook them only for 9 minutes, not a second more. Let them come out, finish cooking on your hot cookie sheet, and then take them off and let them cool. They'll be extra chewy. Yes. Store them in a bag with a piece of bread to keep them nice and soft, and they won't last more than 2 days anyway, so.
I've always wondered why you put in the bread.
Now you know, it's my secret. Yeah. All right, let's get to baking. As I mentioned already, this recipe can be found on the back of the bag of your chocolate chips. This is my absolute favorite chocolate chip recipe. I love how chewy these cookies come out. They are not super fluffy, they're really chewy, and I really love that. So these are perfect. They've got a little bite to them. They're fantastic. So you're gonna start off with 2 sticks of room temperature butter, and you're going to cream your butter with 3/4 a cup of regular granulated sugar, as well as 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. You're then going to mix in the rest of your wet ingredients, so about a teaspoon of vanilla, or a little more if you're like me, 2 eggs, preferably at room temperature, and you're then going to mix in your dry ingredients, 2 1/4 cup of flour, and then some baking soda. I don't exactly remember how many. You only need about a cup of chocolate chips, unless you're Griffin, and almost pour in the entire package. And then we're going to use our scoop again to place our drop cookies onto a greased pan. Now I barely grease this pan. I just put a little spritz of Pam. This is a non-stick pan. However, I just wanted to make sure that they really didn't stick. And this scoop here can be a little bit troublesome. So Griffin and I kind of tag teamed. I scooped it out of the bowl and then he got them out onto the cookie sheet. And he was such a good little helper, and he is super duper cute. Once you have all of your cookies on your cookie sheet, pop them into your 350-degree oven for 9 minutes. Go ahead and take them out. They're going to be really puffy. Let them sit on your hot pan on the hot stove for another 2 to 3 minutes, and go ahead and take them off and let them cool on some cooling racks. Now, these cookies will flatten out a little bit. If you would like for them to be a little bit puffier and not flatten like this, you can chill your batter before you put these in the oven, and that will keep them from flattening out as much as mine did. And then just repeat the process until all of your cookies are baked. Now we're going to bake our shortbread cookies that have been sitting in the refrigerator for a few hours. So I took them out, and we're going to go ahead and cut these. You want to cut them in about 1/4 of an inch width, and you're going to lay them out on a cookie sheet. I'm using a non-stick Silpat mat. That just helps your cookies to not stick. And these did not spread whatsoever, so you don't have to spread them out as much as I did. They did not spread at all. They were a little bit oddly shaped. That was my fault. I did not roll them out properly, but they did taste really good. And next up, we're going to work on my absolute favorite cookie. These are called a peanut butter surprise, and they are a peanut butter cookie with a Reese's miniature cup inside. They are absolutely amazing. I had these at my very first cookie swap that I attended, and I have made them ever since. They are just absolutely delicious. So I have my son Ryan there helping me to get all of the miniature Reese's cups opened. I made a regular peanut butter cookie recipe with just peanut butter, butter, sugar, brown sugar, eggs, vanilla extract, flour, baking soda, and salt. I'll have the recipe linked for you down below. They're so good, really chewy. And then what you do is, again, scoop out a ball of peanut butter dough, flatten it out just a little bit, put your Reese's cup in the middle, roll them together, and then bake them for about 10 minutes. Now we're going to work on our Snickerdoodle cookies. Now these are my husband's absolute favorite. So this is the next day. They are nice and chilled. So I'm going to take them out. I'm going to roll them in my hand to shape them into perfect balls, or as close as I can get. And you're going to roll them in sugar and cinnamon. This is what gives them that really good, delicious, traditional Snickerdoodle flavor. Just keep doing this till all of your cookies are shaped and rolled in the sugar and the cinnamon, and then these are ready to pop into the oven. Again, you're going to bake these for about 9 minutes, and once you take them out of the oven, you only want to leave them on your cookie sheet for a minute or two. These don't need to stay on very long at all, so you can take them off pretty quickly and let them cool again on the cooling rack. They will flatten just a little bit. They do come out pretty fluffy. They will flatten just a little bit, and they are seriously so chewy and delicious. I have not been able to stop Danny from eating them. Next up, we're going to work on our little wreaths. This is the last treat that we're going to make, and you're going to follow the same recipe that you would do for a Rice Krispie treat. So 1 stick of butter or half a cup of butter. You're going to let that melt. Then you're going to add in 1 package of marshmallows. I was using miniature marshmallows. I just find that they melt a little bit faster, but you can use large if that's all you have. Go ahead and mix those in and keep the heat on your stove at low medium, and you don't want it to be too hot. You don't want to burn your marshmallows, and just keep stirring those until they've melted into your butter and they're ready for your cereal. Now for these little wreaths, you're going to use corn flakes, not frosted. You want them to just be regular corn flakes. You need 4 cups, and you'll stir those in. The other thing I will mention is that you want them to be green. So I forgot to put my food coloring in before I put the cereal. You want to put your food coloring in first. I did end up making another batch of these the next day. I just needed more marshmallows, and I did put the food coloring in before I put the cereal, and it was much easier. So make sure that you do that. It stirs much nicer, and it does give you a smoother color. I'm using gel food coloring. I just feel like this works a lot better and does give a really nice color. And now our cereal is ready to go. It is going to be really hot, so be careful. And you're going to move this over to a workstation. So I had prepped my workstation before I started working. I have a piece of parchment paper here, and I also have a bowl of water, warm water, to keep my hands nice and wet, so that way the treats don't stick to my hand. You're going to scoop out about, a spoonful or so, and then shape it into a ball, kind of flatten it out on your parchment paper, and then you're going to use your finger to make a little hole in the middle. And then while it's still not fully set, you're going to sprinkle on some sprinkles. This is kind of time consuming. It's not like super long, but it's a little bit longer than just scooping your drop cookies onto the sheet. So give yourself some time, but they are delicious. I already had one. They taste so good, and I just think they're really pretty, and I think the color is going to look nice when we have all the cookies laid out. Now we're going to get started on our decorations. So I had picked up those cardboard, paper, gingerbread houses. They're technically ornaments. However, I had a vision to hang them above my island. As I mentioned already, I just love to hang stuff right there. I just think it is really pretty and is fun for any kind of event. So I'm going to go ahead and put these together. They were very simple, just super time consuming. I had purchased 2 packages, so I had a total of 10 gingerbread houses. I did decide to use 9 of them just to kind of spread them out a little bit more evenly above the island, but these took a while. I ended up grabbing one of my island chairs, and I sat down and got these completed. But I am so glad that I did this. I think that they're absolutely adorable, and I haven't decided if they're going to stay up there all season long or if they're just going to stay up there for now and go back up for Christmas Eve. We are hosting a gingerbread house making party with my family for Christmas Eve, so they definitely have to go back up if they don't stay up between now and then. They did come with these adorable miniature clothespins, so I'm just attaching those to the top. That's how they're designed to be attached. And then we're going to use that really pretty tweed yarn that I picked up at Michael's, same place I purchased these little gingerbread houses. We're going to use that yarn to hang them above my island. I'm so thankful that Danny is always willing to help me with these things because I do not like standing up there. I'm not a small person, so I don't feel comfortable standing up on the chairs or anything like that, so I'm thankful he's willing to help. To get these up here, what we did was we strung a piece of yarn from one island light to the other, and then we tied these to that original piece of yarn. And then we just kind of staggered them. And I think this is so pretty. It reminds me of something you might see in a department store, you know, or Anthropologie or something, you know, in a Christmas display. And I just love it. I think it's so cute, and it's exactly what I envisioned when I purchased these. Next up, we're going to work on a little last minute gift idea that I had for the people coming to the party. I decided to make a cute little ornament, and we're actually doing it out of these little miniature metal cookie cutters. I found these at Michael's. They were 50% off, so I think I got 12 of them for maybe $6. And I tied them with a little piece of yarn, and I just think they're so sweet. And I figured I could give a new ornament every year when my friends come to the cookie swap. So absolutely love those. Now, these are those boxes that I originally purchased for the cookies, and you can clearly see that I did not read the dimensions. These are far too small for my guests to be able to take home all the cookies that they're going to be bringing home. So I decided to use these for the ornaments, and I still had the idea of tying the ribbon onto them, and I think it turned out really, really cute. So I'm layering my ribbon. This is my favorite way to use ribbon. So I have that adorable Santa ribbon, as well as a piece of yarn, and then this pom-pom ribbon, all from Michael's. They were buy one, get 3 free. Like, you cannot beat it. And I'm just tying them in a very simple knot across the top, across the handle, and I'm making sure to leave, you know, enough out that has a nice little layered look. And I think they're so pretty. Kind of make sure that they're all, you know, you can see each piece. And then I have these little Merry Christmas tags that I purchased on Etsy. I'll have them linked for you down below. And I'm just attaching those to the side. And these cute little favor treats are done. Are those not the sweetest? I'm so happy with how those turned out. I think they're so cute. This is the gift for the winner of the best overall cookie, and it's this cool little set of cards with all these different cheese board ideas. I love it. I love a good charcuterie board, and I purchased this thinking that it would make a really great gift. I didn't know for who. I knew I wanted it, and it ended up being the perfect gift for the cookie swap. So again, I'm just going to kind of jazz it up here with some ribbon, and I couldn't quite figure out how I wanted to do this, so I kept flipping it around and getting it all situated, but I did finally get it tied up here. And then I also had that sweet little ribbon wreath from Hobby Lobby that I attached to the front, and then I did end up putting the little card that says best overall cookie. I just kind of tucked it onto the cheese board deck, and it's ready to go for whoever wins the best overall cookie. And that brings us to the end of this video, my friends. I am so excited for this party. It actually hasn't happened yet. It's happening the day that you're watching this video, and make sure you're following me on Instagram to see some pictures of how it all turns out and all the different cookies that everybody brings, and to see how everything looks finally set up. I'll share all of that over on Instagram. Follow me at Charlotte Grove Farmhouse, and you can see all of that there. And I hope that you guys consider hosting your own cookie swap or got some ideas for the next cookie swap that you attend. I hope you're having a lovely holiday season. I can't believe how close we're getting to actual Christmas. I'm so not ready for it to be over. Just trying to savor every moment, as I'm sure you are as well. I hope you enjoyed this video, my friends, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.